Coming up next, where local news comes first, summer is near and so is fire season. The Shoshone County Fire Co-op got a head start this week on some preventions. Then, if you plan on flying commercially or entering a federal building, you're going to need a permit. We'll have the deadline and why exactly this is being implemented. But first, a new type of school could begin this fall in the Silver Valley. What it could mean for students. The news at 6 begins right now.
You're watching the 6 o'clock news on Channel 3 with John Webb, Weather with McKenna Merrick, and Jaden House with Sports. This is Channel 3 News at 6.
They're calling it VTech. Good evening, I'm John Webb. On Tuesday, we spoke exclusively with two developers of a new kind of education. It's similar to K-Tech in Coeur d'Alene. They teach students the technical and hands-on skills for jobs like welding, electrical work, plumbing, and so much more. Their plan? To bring a program like this into the Silver Valley.
It's working in 17 districts in Idaho right now. There are 17 programs like this in Idaho already.
The idea behind a trade school was developed for students who don't plan to attend further education. It's something that many students in the Silver Valley don't do. So a group of individuals, including several representatives from Mullen, Wallace, and Kellogg school districts, got together to discuss how they could get more students better jobs.
It teaches them how to learn. So you have a variety of programs, whether it's geography or algebra or, grammar, literature. It just bends the mind so that they can open it up and explore different areas. And that's the same thing that would happen with a program like this.
Both Keith and Heidi taught at a similar program in Arizona. It was a culinary arts class, and they said it absolutely works.
It was really, really beneficial. And we were mostly closely tied to the culinary program, and we've both been educators in that field. And some of these children that graduated from this, mine was more focused on CCAP. They were the first kids in their family to go to college. And these are culinary degrees, a 4-year culinary degree, 2-year degrees, certificate programs, and they would win scholarships by practicals and writtens and things like that, and have to keep your grades up, all that kind of stuff. And they would get $150,000 scholarships to the Culinary Institute of America.
The questions that many have been asking about this program is who, what, when, and where. Keith and Heidi tell us that all 3 schools will be involved in the program, and they want it to range from welding to culinary arts. It's a class that would take place during a set time or day, and it would be held at the Kellogg Middle School or possibly the old Silverton building. But nothing is set in stone quite yet. Another big question that you're probably asking, are my taxes going to go up? According to Keith, it all should be funded by the state and federal government.
So there's CTE funding from the state and from the federal government. There is workforce development funding, which as business owners, we pay taxes on all of our labor costs to the state, and they use that money to help train the future workforce. So that's what that's based on, and it's a great program. So there is funding in place for those programs without dipping into the local tax base.
On Tuesday, March 26th, the Shoshone County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call from a business alarm in the Cedar Mill near Smelterville. When police checked the area, they found a mill subject attempting to escape through a window. When ordered to exit the building, the subject retreated inside. Due to unknown hazards, a canine was requested from the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. When police searched the building, they discovered 2 suspects. One was taken into custody without incident, while the other was apprehended by a canine. William Croston, 39 of Hayden, was booked into jail for burglary, criminal conspiracy, criminal trespass, and resist of officers. Earl Jones, 41 of Smelterville, was booked in for burglary, criminal conspiracy, possession of burglary tools, criminal trespass, and the resist of officers. If you plan on flying or entering a federal building next fall, you're going to need a permit to do so. The STAR card is not required, but you will need one by October of 2020 to fly commercially or access a federal facility.
So the STAR is what's going to be required in order to board a plane to fly within the United States or to get into any federal facility that will have an armed guard, such as like a Social Security office, like the one we have in Coeur d'Alene, military bases. There's a more extensive list. I can have it available here, and they do have it online on the Idaho Transportation Department.
You can still opt for a regular license if you don't plan on doing any of those things. The point of the STAR card is to keep citizens safe when boarding a plane or entering a federal building.
This all stems back from 9/11, the 19 different terrorists, all that documentation they printed at home and got real state-issued IDs. And that's how they went to pilot school. And
There's no fee for the STAR card. However, you will need to renew your driver's license in order to get the little star on the right-hand corner of your license.
for a Class D driver's license, it's $30 for a 4-year, $55 for an 8-year. CDLs are $40, and IDs are $10 or $20.
ITD advises opting for the STAR card the next time you need to renew your license rather than waiting until 2020. Last year, over 60,000 people were diagnosed with leukemia in the U.S. There are hundreds and hundreds of organizations across America raising money for the deadly cancer, even local organizations. Our Hannah Garitone explains.
Thanks, John. I spoke with the senior class representatives about the penny drive that they have organized.
The Penny Drive is a fundraiser to raise money for cancer patients.
So the rules for the penny drive are that if you have silver coins, that means they're negative points, and if you have pennies and cash, that means they're positive points. It can be any kind of cash.
Not Canadian pennies, though. We've got a lot of those so
A lot
far.
of Canadian pennies.
The class with the most points have been promised an extra 10 minutes during their lunch break. All the money being raised will be given to an organization called Pennies for Patients. This organization encourages students to help those fighting lymphoma or leukemia. If you would like to donate or learn more about the organization, please call 800-955-4572. Reporting in the Channel 3 studio, I'm Hannah Garitone.
Thank you, Hannah. This past week, students across the Silver Valley were able to see Smokey the Bear and Sparky at their very own school. They weren't there just for high fives and hugs, though. They had a mission.
The goal is just to teach fire safety messages to all these kids.
Back in the early 80s, the Shoshone County Fire Co-op was formed by the fire chiefs to help spread awareness on the dangers of fire. During that time period, fire crews saw an increase in fires caused by children. They came up with the idea of producing a fire safety skit to help prevent those deadly fires.
With the form of the co-op, they saw the decrease in fires. So it's been real helpful to get these messages out and make sure the kids know stuff.
Students who participated in the event will write their own fire safety message and submit it to the Idaho Department of Lands. They'll get the chance to win some fishing gear and possibly be on one of our newscasts. Good luck, guys. Tonight, Weather Commander McKenna Merrick is out for the evening, but Hannah Garitone is standing by over in the Weather Center with more on the forecast. Han?
Thanks, John. I'm Hannah Garitone, filling in for McKenna Merrick. Looking at the Doppler radar, there are no signs of showers in our area, but in western Montana, there is a great deal of precipitation making its way to the southeast. Looking at the cloud and precipitation map, it's pretty cloudy here in the Silver Valley, but no signs of rain. Looking at the 7-day forecast, we're seeing 20% chance of rain Friday through Tuesday, with temperatures in the high 40s and low 50s. Wednesday and Thursday, we can expect 50-degree weather and with mostly sunny skies. Reporting in the Channel 3 studio, I'm Hannah Garitone.
Hannah, thank you. Basketball has come to an end locally, but now the golfers are preparing for their season. With more, we toss it to Jaden House.
Thanks, John. Like John said, basketball has unfortunately come to an end, but golf season has begun. I spoke with Wallace sophomore Hayden Hogemeyer with how he thinks the season is going to go this year for himself and for the team as a whole.
As an individual this season, I should improve quite a bit from last year because I know what's going on now. This year, our team's going to win districts and make it to state and hopefully place top 10 at state.
Hayden says his favorite part of participating in golf is to see how much he improves. He also says he looks forward to spending time with his coaches, Doc and Marcia. That's a wrap on sports tonight. Reporting in the Channel 3 Sports Studio, I'm Jaden House.
Thank you, Jaden. Straight ahead on the 6 o'clock news, the U.S. Bank in Kellogg is closing this summer. We're asking how come. Plus, our weekly interview with Senator Crabtree continues. This time, we talk more about Medicaid sideboards and where it can expect it to go. Then more on a crime-fighting mission that deputies did over the weekend. We're back after this.
The best for less is what you get when you shop at the home of Western Family, Harvest Foods, in Wallace. In the meat department, get beef T-bone steak, $6.98 a pound. And in the produce section, get Halo tangerines, just $3.99 a pound. And fresh asparagus, $1.69 a pound. It's going on now through Tuesday at the home of Western Family, Harvest Foods, in Wallace.
Looking for minor gear or personalized gifts? Wallace High Screen Printing has everything from hats and shirts to mugs, picture frames, and lanyards. Customize your product with 4 different options: screen printing, vinyl, sublimation, and white printing. All designs and prints are done by students with modern equipment. Prices are very affordable, and all proceeds return to the class. They're only open from September to May, so make your order now. Call 208-752-5101.
This edition of the news is brought to you by Silver Valley Tire in Kellogg.
Welcome back. On Monday, former Channel 3 news anchor Mason Chafee announced that he's leaving Channel 3. In a statement, he said, quote, "I want to thank all the viewers and the Channel 3 team for giving me new learning opportunities and a great experience. I'll be moving to South Dakota with my aunt and uncle. It has been an honor serving the citizens of the Silver Valley. Thank you." Chafee started at Channel 3 back in September of last year as a reporter. He later became an anchor in January. We all would like to thank Mason for his dedication and tenacity that he's given to the team. We'll announce who will be replacing Mason next week. On Sunday, Shoshone County Fire District 2 EMS responded to Cameron Avenue in Kellogg after a male ran over a ladder in the roadway. The man was assessed and did not need medical attention. However, the vehicle's tires and gas tank were damaged. A small amount of gas leaked onto the roadway. Crews later put absorbent pads underneath the vehicle to capture further leakage. The scene was later turned over to LEO. Logan Leeling is in the Channel 3 newsroom with more on TSA State. Logan?
Thanks, John. TSA, or Technical Student Association, is a club that Wallace High School attends in Twin Falls. TSA started March 6th and ended March 9th. TSA is a series of events that students compete and can medal in.
I learned many things. Lots of job opportunities were down there that we got to see. We even got to see a bomb squad, that kind of stuff. And you learn a lot of leadership skills that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
TSA allows students to learn leadership and social skills. Wallace took first this year in the event. Reporting in the Channel 3 studio, I'm Logan Leeling.
Thank you, Logan. Tonight, some bad news for Kellogg residents. On Monday, the 11th, U.S. Bank announced that they will be closing their Kellogg branch on June 25th of this year. The branch that's been around for close to 80 years sent their customers this letter, stating that they are committed to understanding their customers' banking preferences and evaluating how and where they operate. As a result, they are consolidating some of their physical locations, but not the employees that currently work there. We reached out to U.S. Bank to ask why, and they sent us this statement. They said in part, quote, "We reviewed our branch network. We determined that the demand for services at this location necessitated a change on our approach and to our presence in the community. This was a difficult decision and not one taken lightly. We understand that the closure of our branch is a disruption for our customers and our employees, and we are working to make the transition as smooth as possible for all involved. We appreciate the business of our customers and the service of our employees, and will continue to be a part of the community through our other area locations." One anonymous Kellogg resident said in a statement to Channel 3, quote, "It's too bad for both residents of Kellogg and the employees who will lose their jobs. The bank is cutting local jobs just to save a quick buck." The property will be marketed for sale after the closure. Customers are asked to use the Wallace and Pinehurst branches. On March 22nd, the Osborne Police Department and the Shoshone County Sheriff's Office conducted a criminal interdiction with a target focused on drug crimes in Smelterville and Pinehurst. Heavy police presence resulted in arresting 5 people for felony charges as well as warrants. Along with criminal interdiction, 26 traffic stops were initiated, along with 2 citations issued and 1 misdemeanor. Paul Flory was arrested for Shoshone County warrant, Jenny Bauer for felony of drug use, Zeke Smith is facing the same consequence along with 1 misdemeanor charge. Denny Ray Cruzan was also arrested for felony drug charges and 2 misdemeanor charges along with a Kootenai County warrant. And the final arrest was Melissa Schriebnow for felony of drug use and 1 misdemeanor charge. In state news tonight, a federal judge has upheld 2 of 3 death penalties for a man convicted in a gruesome child kidnapping and murder case and put a 3rd death sentence on hold for now. Joseph Edward Duncan III was sentenced to death after an incredibly violent crime spree in which he broke into a Coeur d'Alene home and killed 3 people before abducting an 8- and 9-year-old. He then took the kids deep into Montana's Lolo National Forest where he tortured and raped them for weeks before eventually killing the older child. In Friday's ruling, U.S. District Judge Edward Lodge said Duncan had effective attorneys, that the evidence shown at trial wasn't unfairly prejudicial, and that 2 of the 3 death sentences were appropriate. But Lodge said he'd wait to make a ruling on the 3rd death sentence until the U.S. Supreme Court rules on a separate but similar case. On Monday, I spoke over FaceTime with Senator Crabtree for our weekly interview. We discussed Medicaid sideboards, a new brewing bill that was formed based off of an idea from Wallace Brewing, and then we talked about transportation funding and how Idaho plans to fund our roadways. Here's more with Senator Crabtree. Senator Crabtree, thanks for being with us for this possibly last time.
Well, we'll see.
The Medicaid sideboard has been taking a lot of heat from your constituents. You've called it a lose-lose proposition. There'll be 2 bills competing for a solution on work requirements. So talk to us more on which bill you'll be voting for.
I think my term was lose-lose proposition, not lose-lose. But yeah, I think here's our concern is it's going to cost a lot of money to put these sideboards on to track people as to whether they're working or not. But you have constituents, and it makes common sense to me to have people who are getting government assistance to at least work if they possibly can. So that's the difficulty here, is how much should we expect them to work, how much is fair to ask them to work, and then what is the cost associated with that tracking of that work effort.
This week, the Senate voted on 2 bills to change the source of funding for transportation. We're seeing less and less tax dollars being implemented into the state's transportation, mainly because of more fuel-efficient cars. We, of course, get most of our funding from gas taxes. So where exactly will we be pulling these additional taxes from?
Well, as you know, I'm vice chair of the Transportation Committee here in the Senate, and so we're very concerned about doing a good job with the roads in the state. And we're $100 to $200 million behind per year in just keeping up with our maintenance efforts. So we can't get any more money from the fuel taxes and things because we have more efficient cars that use less miles per gallon. We have trucks that are more efficient. They're hauling more tons per gallon. And yet we have a static rate that we can charge. So that reduces any options for us to increase revenue from that source. So we've gone to general fund monies, which we have not done before, to try to fund some of these efforts. And as an example, a lot of people can relate to, it costs $15 million, John, to make one interchange down here on I-84. Well, we got one of those interchanges basically taken out of our general fund in a bill last week. Then we tried for another interchange, and I'm oversimplifying, but basically, and we were unable to do that. So it's a struggle getting additional funds for roads, but we're here to try to help that.
Earlier this morning, you and Governor Brad Little signed Bill 1078 into law. The bill you co-sponsored allows craft brew facilities in Idaho to contract with other entities wishing to brew at their facility. So what is the reasoning behind this bill?
Well, it actually started, John, from Wallace, Idaho. Wallace Brewing had an issue that they wanted us to address, and that was they can only make 30,000 barrels of beer in any craft brew facility. But other facilities have capacities well beyond that, but they can still only do 30,000 barrels per company. So Wallace Brewing wanted the option of contracting with some of these other places to brew their beer, perhaps. And so we drafted legislation, got it through the House, the Senate, and was signed by the governor this morning to do just that, and it should help Wallace Brewing be able to contract with other people, and not just them, but other craft brewers.
All right, Senator Crabtree, sounds like we'll be talking with you more next week.
We will. Look forward to it, John. Thank you.
Next week, we'll meet in person with Crabtree to go over this year's entire legislative session. In the news that's not quite newsworthy, as border walls go, this one's pretty cheesy. An artist who specializes in works made from cheese said he will start building a quarter-mile wall along the U.S.-Mexico border Monday afternoon. Cosimo Lavalalo said his giant cheese wall will be built near Tecate, California, 45 feet from the real border at Tecate, Mexico. He's starting with 200 blocks made from cotija, a hard style of Mexican cheese, and he figures he'll need about 8,800 more blocks to complete complete his vision. But he didn't get his way until President Donald Trump started demanding a border wall. Trump's demand gave me a context for this, the emotional impact, Cavallaro said. He said he would like to keep the wall going, but admitted there is the possibility it may fall apart or animals might eat parts of it. But that, to him, is part of the artistic process. That's the 6 o'clock news for this evening. Until we speak again, I'm John Webb. Have a great evening.